So what you got there, Austin?
Welcome to Dark Angels Week, where we're going to be talking about all of the new fantastic awesomeness in the brand new Dark Angels Codex. So we're going to be breaking down the Codex by force organization slot and looking at what you should take to best make your army competitive and fun to play. So the first section, as we get to it in the Codex here, is going to be the HQ section. So let's take a look at what we've got so far in here. As with the Chaos Marine Codex, we actually do have a war gear list again, which was something that was pretty absent from at least the last iteration of Warhammer. I guess the 5th edition codexes. Do the 4th edition codexes have war gear lists?
Like the 4th edition, if I remember correctly, was very fluffy, and then they kind of neutered it in 5th and kind of
fair enough.
Brought it down.
So we've got a whole bunch of really great HQ choices, as with just about any Space Marine codex. Lots of cool stuff, and as we are wont to do now in 6th edition, and even in some of the late 5th edition codexes, you've got some force organization augmentation that happens based on which HQ choices you choose. Certain things will become troop choices, or become unlimited, or not unlimited, but you know what I mean. They change force org slot, mostly just go from elites or something else to troops. So our first slot is Azrael. Pretty standard big bad Marine boss across the board. Really nasty in close combat. You get some pretty cool chapter relics, including a handful of things that I haven't actually looked up yet, so we're going to be flipping through those in just a second when we look at the war gear section. Chris, do you have something to say about Azrael?
I actually really like him, because all of his war gear is relics. Like, the only non-war gear that is not a relic is his grenades.
Yeah, he gets normal, frag and crack grenades, but yeah, he gets a ton of chapter relics. He gets the Protector, Lion's Wrath, Sword of Secrets, Lion's Helm. He is quite reliced up, and he is.
He can choose his own warlord trait too.
Yeah, that's true. He gets to pick. There is a Dark Angel specific warlord chart.
Right before.
Oh, did I pass it already?
No, right before the HQ.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Right before where I am in the book, right this second.
Okay,
I thought it was right at the beginning of the book.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's becoming a standard feature for all of the new 6th edition codexes. You get really nice secondary warlord table that you can roll on, as opposed to the ones in the big rule book. There's just one more place that you can roll, and these guys are really quite nice. Everything from some movement augmentation that'll really get your guys into high gear, moving across the table quickly, to being able to hold objectives more effectively by getting feel no pain when you're within a certain radius of the objectives. Lots of other really cool stuff in here. I think that if I was playing Dark Angels, I would definitely roll on this chart, especially depending on what type of game, or if I knew the type of scenario I was going to be up against. If for any scenario game, hold at all costs, which is the getting feel no pain while you're within a certain, or within, what is it, 3 inches of an objective, is just brutal. I mean, Marines with feel no pain is always tough to kill. That's just never an easy pill to swallow, as it were. Let's take a look at some of the other guys that we've got here. We have some, pretty standard generics as well. The Company Master, which is your standard Marine master for a company. Pretty much every Space Marine variant codex has something like this. There's not a whole lot of frills on this guy. Pretty standard stuff. He can pull stuff from the war gear list. You've also got chaplains, which are pretty bread and butter across the board for your beat stick Marine armies.
I'm kind of curious, because it lists the chaplains and the interrogator chaplains. If
What are you wondering?
Because I think he might be the HQ and he's just an elite, like we saw in the Blood
yeah.
Angels.
Yeah, that is true. Let's verify that here. Let's take a look. You guys are seeing this at the same time we are, so please bear with us. We're just
so no, it is an HQ.
Yeah, chaplains are, and it looks like
the interrogator must just have extra bonus rules because.
Did we pass him already?
Yeah.
The interrogator chaplain.
He's got
another
HQ. Circle.
Okay, so he's got some upgrades. The interrogator chaplain over a regular chaplain, and he's a bit more expensive. So no big surprise there. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got Ezekiel. Man, there's a lot of named characters in this chapter. Just to run through them real quick, you've got Ezekiel, Asmodai, Belial, Samuel. Actually, I think that's it. There's only 5. I lied. It looked like a lot more on the page there. I guess I should read before I speak. Anyway, so Ezekiel, he looks pretty nifty. Not quite as beatstick as Azrael, but he does have a psychic hood, so he can do some psychic power shutdown stuff. He is quite the powerful psyker too at a level 3. Not bad at all.
When we actually cover him, he's got his own spell that I think is going to be fun to discuss.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at that when we get to him specifically. Asmodai, he's let's see, what exactly is he?
He's a character interrogator.
Okay, cool. So we've got a character version of the interrogator. Belial, who, I'm sure all are familiar because. Let's face it, one of the reasons that we all love Dark Angels is just for taking gobs and gobs of Terminators and calling it balanced. We just love to take it and pretend like it's fair. Because these guys are just devastating in this codex. I can't wait until we get to the Elite's choices and we'll talk about them, but I gotta say, those are looking like some tasty, tasty cakes. And Belial just makes them that much more brutal.
He's like the extra layer on the wedding cake.
Yeah, he is the second tier of cake on the cake. He is the filling that makes it delicious. He's quite quite handy for as an upgrade for your Terminators. Let's see here, and I mean. Really, the reason that he's so good is because he turns the Deathwing Terminators into troops choices. So you could potentially bring 60 of them in a given game. So I mean that's pretty ridiculous. And then on top of that, because he only makes the Deathwing Terminator squads troops, you could still bring the other Deathwing Terminator Knights. What are they called?
That's it, Deathwing Knights.
The Deathwing Knights. You could bring more Deathwing Knights, so you could potentially have 90 Deathwing Terminators on the board, 30 of which would be the upgraded Knights versions. And then on top of that, you could also take a second HQ choice and have those as the Deathwing HQ squad. So, I mean, you could really pack these on. 101 Terminators. It's like a Disney movie in the making right there. So, yeah. Looks like we've got Samael, and he's got the one still functioning jet bike in the entire Imperium. So, that's definitely his whole shtick. He's the master of the Raven Wing. He's all about speed.
Heck, his warlord trait is the movement shenanigan one.
Rapid maneuver. He gets to let's flip back here and we'll talk about that for a second. But yeah, rapid maneuver essentially lets you add some dice to your run moves and drop the low ones, and you can also do some adding of inches to your turbo boost moves. So he's got some extra movement shenanigans to throw into the mix. And quite nice, and it's a nice model. It's really held up over the years, in my opinion. I remember when this model first came out, and
it was metal on a plastic stick.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. And now it's fine cast, as are just about all of the pewter minis that they used to make, and they're starting to come out with obviously, yeah, you guys. seen the new ones that they're coming out with that are just going straight to fine cast. So.
And an interesting note about him, you can actually take him in a speed bike. I did not know if that was
You mean a land speeder?
Yeah, he can now take his own land speeder.
Yeah, yeah. That he can. He can upgrade to do that. Let me flip back over here. I think that the Dark Angels army is going to be one to really look out for in the tournament scene, because especially with Deathwing, I mean, it feels like you've got 3 armies here. You've got the Dark Angels, as they are a mishmash of lots of different things, but we all know that you're just going to specialize in 1 or 2 really niche things and really exploit those to your greatest advantage for tournament play. So you have a couple of ways to do that. You've got your Deathwing and you've got your Raven Wing to really maximize your effectiveness in speed or in just sheer unkillableness.
Or if for some reason you like a little bit of both, you take Azrael, Azrael, who makes both of them trip choices instead.
Yeah, does he really?
Yes, Supreme Grandmaster lets you take
primary detachment. Wow. Okay, fantastic. Azrael just bringing it all together.
That 215 pays for itself.
No kidding. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that the Company Master can take here. Looks like he can take some pretty standard stuff. He can take a Storm Shield, and he can upgrade to Artificer Armor, which is nice. And it looks like he can take
a pygmy with a sword.
Let's see here. Company Master. Like melee weapons, ranged weapons, special issue war. Okay, so he can take a lot of different kinds of war gear from the war gear section. And the thing that I really like about the new war gear section, and I'll be the first to say it if you haven't heard it, is that the new war gear sections in these codices, and it's the same with the Chaos Codex, is in previous editions you had just a ton of stuff in the war gear section, and you really had to suss out what it was that was actually worth taking here. There literally were good things and there were terrible things. You got something that was just not at all usable or costed correctly. It's just way over point cost, and it didn't do anything for you. And it took you several games to figure out, oh, I don't really like this. Now, with this stuff, I won't say that there's not a bad choice. Okay, there really isn't. There's not a bad choice in the war gear. There's just not an optimal choice sometimes. Sometimes you'll take something and you're like, I could have taken something a little bit better. But it wasn't a complete disaster. So they've really toned down just the amount of obnoxious stuff that makes it into the war gear list to really make crafting your HQ or your elites a little bit easier, so that you're not just flooded with this inundation of stuff to figure out. It's like, is this a good thing? How would I use this? And then you end up playing a bunch of games and then finally realizing that this one thing, this one situation is the best thing in the world, and if you can force your games to get you into this one position, it's great. The war gear is more obvious now. It gives you, it buffs your stats, it gives you a cool weapon, it gives you better armor, some different kinds of saves, something to do with movement. It's really quite nice.
I also think that a part of that is they're relying a little more heavily on generic rules that they're tacking. It's like these weapons are not, like, I remember in my old Chaos Codex, I think it's 3.5, like, you would have a paragraph explaining what this rule does. So you had to sit there, read it, try to figure it out. But whereas this one, it's more, this does this. It's no kind of like fluffy. It's kind of, well, it is fluffy, but it's very direct, in my opinion, as to what you're doing.
I mean, like you just said, it is. You can be fluffy with the description of the war gear without making it convoluted and having super special rules. You can have this great elaborate description of something, and then it just gives you a generic, or not generic, but a universal special rule from the main rule book. So it makes sense based on the description why this character would have this, but it doesn't have to be its own special rules that you have to remember, and it's impossible for your opponent to know everything in your codex. But since it's based on universal special rules, it makes it a lot easier.
Like the Lion's Wrath, which Azrael has, and oddly enough, you can buy it for, it's also chapter like like it normally if this thing existed previously, it would have like a whole paragraph devoted to itself. Instead, it's got an entry. It's like mastercrafted, blah blah blah, and it's just like 4 or 5 generic rules that basically craft together to a fluffy weapon.
Absolutely, I think that's a much better way to go, and I really appreciate the streamlinedness of a lot of this now, which still gives you that complexity and the interest in making. Because I mean, you can, even if you don't play a lot of games, I love to play the let's make an army list game. I love going into Army Builder and putting stuff together and finding just that cool, fluffy list that you're like, okay, cool, this is just like from that story. Or wouldn't it be neat if I could do, an entire Death Company squad and have, not Death Company, what in the world, Death Wing, and it's really, I don't know. It's really fun.
You could do Death Company if you were Blood Angels.
Yes, I could, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Okay, so the Interrogator Chaplain, let's take a look at him real fast. He has some special rules. There's one special rule that's quite a few of the HQ and the Elites have, called Inner Circle, which, if I remember correctly, let's take a look here. Essentially, it just gives you... this is exactly like Chris was saying a second ago. Inner Circle isn't its own big, blown thing. It's Fearless plus Preferred Enemy Chaos Space Marine. So a lot of your HQ choices are going to have that, plus some of the Elite's choices, especially the Death Wing. So the Interrogator Chaplain has that. He's an independent character. And Zealot, which I'm unfamiliar with. Would you mind taking a look at that while I continue on down the list here? He comes with pretty much the same standard array of things that your average chaplain would have. And,
here we go. A unit that contains at least one model with this special rule has both the Fearless and Hatred special rules.
Okay, so he's double Fearless.
And double Hatred.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get Hatred from Inner Circle. He gets Preferred Enemy. Right. So he gets Preferred Enemy and Hatred, which is kind of nice for him. He makes him nice and beat stick. And then... he gets Fearless again from Zealot, but obviously it doesn't stack. You can't be twice as Fearless. We've also got the regular Chaplain, which appears to be the same, except his options are slightly fewer. Let's see exactly what he's missing here.
He can't become a Terminator.
Oh yeah, you can't have a Terminator Chaplain. You can have a Terminator Interrogator Chaplain, and he's also not Inner Circle. I guess once you become an Interrogator, they bring you in. Then we've got Librarians, which are pretty standard across the board. Just like any other Librarians, you can upgrade your level to a level 2. You can grab stuff from the War Gear section. Let's see here. What else we have?
Inner Circle.
Inner Circle. As with most of the upper level HQ choices. Let's see here. And theirs can take, I think it's the same as it was in their previous codex, which was suited for 6th edition, and these are the same as it is in the big rulebook. They can take Divination, Pyromancy, Telepathy, and Telekinesis. So the only thing they can't take is Biomancy. So, let's see here. We've got the Tech Marine. He appears to be pretty much the same as a normal Tech Marine. He can just take some of the War Gear stuff. Yeah, pretty much. So pretty normal across the board. I don't know what this special rule is. The Blessing of...
The Omnissiah. That's a standard.
Is that a standard? Okay, alright. I just didn't know the name of it. Okay,
the only thing he seems to have that makes him stand out, and it's particular for this codex, it seems, is he has Grim Resolve. Okay, yeah, and Grim Resolve is another one of the special rules that is essentially just a composite of other universal special rules that's just been put together. Let's see here. Servitors, they go with the Tech Marine, pretty standard stuff again. You've got a command squad, which is made up of veterans, and it's pretty much the same as a veteran squad. You can take some extra special weapons. You can take, I don't think you can take any heavy weapons, but you can take some special weapons. And you've got close combat weapons out the yin-yang.
Also have Grim Resolve, and you got Deathwing Command Squads, like I mentioned earlier. It's quite nice. Way to just pack in those extra few Terminators. And it is kind of funny, though, how it ended up being, because you can take 60 with Belial, so that's 61, and then 30 for your troops choice, 91, and then you can take 10 as another.
Can they be promoted?
Can you give them more? Can you add more to them?
It would normally be the first.
Yeah, no, I don't think they can. Oh, if they just would let you upgrade to 10, you'd be 101. You could paint them like Dalmatians. It'd be a success. It'd be great.
Yeah, we got 96.
Oh well.
So,
oh well.
All right, Disney. Sorry.
They blew it.
Yep.
All right. And then you got the Raven Wing Command Squad. So you've got all of your bikes and land speeders and the new hilarious looking model that is.
Caddy.
Yeah, it looks like a giant Cadillac. It just is so weird with like the guy on the front that's the hood ornament. What is that thing even called? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just call it the Cadillac.
Fast Attack. It's not those. Is that it? The Ravenwing Dark Shroud?
That sounds kind of. I'm going with yes. It is the Dark Shroud.
Yeah, this thing is really weird looking. I know it's a heavy bolter.
Yep, that's.
Is that even it? Okay, guys, I'm really sorry. We like completely whiffed on this thing. But yeah, I've just sort of been not paying attention to it because I think it looks so silly. That's a land speeder. Yeah, they're called Dark Shrouds. Okay.
Well, what's the heavier version?
This one is the Vengeance.
Okay, the Vengeance.
Land speeder Vengeance.
It's the one with the boombox.
Yeah.
The stereos on that back.
Yeah. Yeah, they're plasma cannons. Gigantic plasma cannons. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look there. Yeah, you can take. Looks like it's standard. It comes with 3 Ravenwing Black Knights in the squad, and I don't know if you can take any more than that.
It seems like commands are usually typically now are at 5. It seems like.
Well, there's 3 in that, and there's 3 that come in the box. So I think that they may be right there stuck it because I don't see any way to take another one in this. Yeah, there's no way to do that. But you do have some upgrades that you can do. And let's see here, for each HQ choice in your army that is mounted on a bike. Okay, yeah, it looks like you've just got the 3 bikes, the Ravenwing Black Knights that are actually the command squad. That composes the brand new plastic kit that just came out, and I do like those. Those are quite nice. You've got an apothecary on a bike that's pretty cool. I don't think that any other faction has an actual official bike apothecary in their repertoire, so that's pretty cool. I do like that. I think that's going to be quite handy for some conversion work for other chapters. It's going to be pretty cool. So.
I was reading over because I saw something that kind of caught me off. Interesting point is it's got Skilled Rider, so naturally it'll pass through automatically, and it gets a +1 on its Jinx.
So that brings it to a 4-up on Jinx saves,
and it also has a teleporter Homer, which means if you do run it, as we were talking with the Azrael thing, you send them in, and then you deep strike the Deathwing right behind them.
Yeah, but if you are taking. If you're taking Belial, I believe he allows them to deep strike without any scatter. So that's kind of a moot point there. Can the Ravenwing deep strike? Can you deep strike in their land speeders? I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. We haven't looked. They could have some kind of crazy special rule. I don't even know.
We've kind of been drooling over Deathwing.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Deathwing has been consuming our brains ever since we got our hands on this book, and we've already planned out a studio army that we're working on to fulfill that just guttural desire to put a whole bunch of Terminators down on the board and laugh maniacally and twist our mustaches. So, yes. So that's pretty much the overview on the HQs. Right now, we like Belial a lot, and the the Deathwing Command Squad, which are both nice, and they play into the army that we're personally looking at. But there's so much other really great stuff in this, and I personally, though I don't usually go for special characters in armies, I do like the opportunities that taking Belial affords you in this particular situation. Some of that can be fixed by taking the command squad, because that will open up the rest of the Deathwing as troops choices, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
Yes. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, all right.
It really honestly seems like the new codex for the new codexes are offering this option. We saw that with Cult Marines in the last book, and we see this with Deathwing and Ravenwing, which it's a good thing. It's kind of nice to see that they're opening this up, and it's not just get with this special character and get this. And
actually, it doesn't say that right here. I don't think that that's correct. This basically, there's a special rule that allows you to have the Deathwing Command Squad not take up a Force Org slot, but it doesn't move things to the troop choice. So if you want to make them troops, you're really going to have to take Belial. It essentially allows you, for each HQ choice. Yeah, okay.
Oh, anyway. I just ate my face.
Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily a phrase. Anyway, but yeah, Belial is going to be really, really cool to use in conjunction with Deathwing, because it allows you to bring them as troop choices, which then means that you don't have to take other troop choices to fulfill your minimum Force Org, meaning all Terminators on the board, and just their myriad of super cool abilities is going to be a formidable force for many a gamer to smash up against in the next few months here, as these are.
You can field 97 Terminators.
97 Terminators.
Because they don't fold up an slot, so you can field the Inquisitor Chaplain as that 97.
It's true. Okay.
97 Terminators.
Good times. Actually, you know what? You can take 101, because if you don't take up the Force Org slot with them, you could take another 5-man squad in your HQ as a command squad. So that's 10 in your HQ.
Can you promote them to Terminators?
What do you mean?
Like, could you swap out all their armor to make them?
But they're already Terminators.
Oh.
I'm talking about the Deathwing command squad.
Ah, gotcha.
If the first one doesn't take up one, I don't know if I'm reading this correctly. We're going to look at this one more time and just
I think
make
it says if one doesn't take it up, then this one won't.
Okay. Well, I am having like a super obsessive fit over the number 101 for some reason. Like I'm actually going to paint mine as Dalmatians. But
that'd be easy. Just white and then like black.
That'd be so horrible.
And then red collars.
Oh man. You could have an interrogator chaplain that's dressed as Cruella de Vil.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, for each HQ choice in your army equipped with Terminator armor, including Belial, but not another Deathwing command squad, you may include a Deathwing command squad. These sections do not use up a Force Org slot. So, you take Belial, you take one of these, then Belial doesn't take up, then the first one doesn't take up a Force Org slot, then you bring a second one in, and then that one takes up the second slot. So you could have 3 HQ choices. So that brings you to 60 Troop Terminators, 30 Elite Terminators, bringing you up to 90, plus Belial's 91, plus 5 for the first command squad, plus 5 for the second one, brings you to 101 Terminators and 1 Force Org slot. Now granted, at that point you'll probably be over 2,000 points, and you can shoehorn a whole bunch more into it without a problem. I would dare say at 100 Terminators, game. That's over 4,000 points. So you could field just as many Force Org slots as you want in Deathwing, so long as you don't go over how many Terminators are actually in the...
You'd get over the 2,000 threshold, so you
every time. Yeah. Every Force Org slot filled would get you over the 2,000. So,
but Belial would have to be either the head dog or Cruella, and then you can have like 2 interrogators be like the little short stubby guy, and then the tall one, you know, that...
Okay, well, before we completely bore you with our inane ramblings about how many Deathwing we can shoehorn onto the board at any given time, we're going to go, and we will see you in the next video where we'll be talking about Elite's choices.